The temperature read -40 degrees Celsius as Marshal Karl Gustav Emil Mannerheim surveyed the Karelian forests. December 1939. Soviet divisions, expecting quick victory over tiny Finland, were freezing to death in the woods. Finnish ski troops, white-clad ghosts in the winter darkness, struck from all directions. The 72-year-old Mannerheim, commanding forces outnumbered 10-1, was orchestrating one of military history's greatest defensive stands. The Winter War would make Finland's Marshal a legend, but his story began decades earlier in a very different world. Born in 1867 to Swedish-speaking Finnish nobility, Mannerheim's early life seemed destined for obscure comfort. His family lost their fortune when he was 13. Expelled from Finnish cadets for discipline violations, young Gustav seemed headed nowhere. But the Russian Empire offered opportunities. Graduating from the Nicholas Cavalry School in St. Petersburg, Mannerheim began a 30-year career in the Tsar's service that would prepare him for Finland's greatest crisis. Mannerheim's Russian years read like adventure fiction. He served with distinction in the Russo-Japanese War, earning decorations for courage. Assigned to a 2-year intelligence mission across Asia, he rode 14,000 kilometers from Turkestan to Beijing, mapping routes, studying populations, meeting the Dalai Lama. His detailed reports impressed Nicholas II personally. During World War I, Mannerheim commanded cavalry divisions against Germans and Austro-Hungarians, earning the Cross of St. George, Imperial Russia's highest honor. The 1917 revolution changed everything. Mannerheim, an aristocratic officer of the Imperial Guard, represented everything Bolsheviks despised. Finland declared independence amid chaos. Returning home after 30 years' absence, Mannerheim found his homeland torn by civil war between Reds and Whites. The Senate appointed him commander-in-chief of White forces. What followed was brutal beyond description. The Finnish Civil War of 1918 killed 36,000 in 5 months. Mannerheim's forces, aided by German troops, crushed the Reds systematically. His victory saved Finland from Bolshevism but left lasting scars. Thousands died in White prison camps. Mannerheim, blamed by some, credited by others, resigned when Finland briefly became a German satellite. His reputation remained deeply divisive among Finns who remembered the terror. The interwar period saw Mannerheim's rehabilitation. Serving as regent, he established relations with Western powers. Though he lost the 1919 presidential election, he remained Finland's most respected military figure. As chairman of the Defense Council, he supervised construction of the Mannerheim Line across the Karelian Isthmus. While politicians hoped for peace, Mannerheim prepared for inevitable Soviet aggression. That aggression came November 30th, 1939. Stalin demanded territorial concessions. When Finland refused, 450,000 Soviet troops invaded, expecting victory within weeks. The 75-year-old Mannerheim, recalled as commander-in-chief, faced impossible odds: 200,000 Finnish troops against millions of Soviets, 30 tanks against 6,000, 130 aircraft against 5,000. International sympathy meant little without concrete aid. Mannerheim's strategy was masterful improvisation. He couldn't match Soviet firepower, so he avoided it. Finnish troops, skiing through forests Soviets couldn't penetrate, struck supply lines. Motti tactics surrounded Soviet divisions, cutting them into pockets to be destroyed piecemeal. Snipers like Simo Heiha, the White Death, killed hundreds. Molotov cocktails, named mockingly for the Soviet foreign minister, destroyed tanks. The forests became graveyards for invaders. The world watched amazed as Finland held. Mannerheim became an international hero, the old Marshal defying Stalin's colossus. But he knew the truth. Finland was bleeding to death. Every tactical victory brought strategic defeat closer. His forces couldn't replace losses. Soviet tactics improved. The Mannerheim line, pounded by massive artillery, began cracking. In March 1940, Mannerheim advised accepting harsh peace terms. Finland lost 11% of its territory, but kept independence. The Continuation War, 1941–44, presented agonizing choices. When Germany invaded the Soviet Union, Finland saw opportunity to reclaim lost territory. Mannerheim, now Marshal of Finland and military commander, allied with Hitler tactically while maintaining distance strategically. He refused to cut the Murmansk Railway supplying Britain. He halted advances once old borders were reached. He protected Finland's Jews from Nazi demands. Walking tightropes between totalitarian giants required extraordinary skill. Mannerheim's relationship with Hitler was complex manipulation. At their 1942 meeting for Mannerheim's 75th birthday, he deliberately smoked in Hitler's presence, forbidden by protocol, establishing psychological dominance. He accepted German aid while refusing German control. When tide turned after Stalingrad, Mannerheim began seeking separate peace. His prestige enabled negotiations Stalin might otherwise reject. The 1944 Soviet offensive nearly destroyed Finland. Mannerheim, now president after Risto Riti's resignation, faced impossible demands. His solution was masterful: accept harsh terms, but implement them slowly, hoping international situation would change. It did. Stalin, focused on racing Western allies to Berlin, accepted Finnish foot-dragging. Mannerheim extracted his nation from the war, with independence intact. Post-war, Mannerheim walked another tightrope. The Soviets demanded war crimes trials for Finnish leaders. Mannerheim protected most, while sacrificing few. He established the Paasikivi-Kekkonen line of neutrality, convincing Stalin that neutral Finland served Soviet interests better than occupied Finland. His personal prestige, even Stalin respected him, enabled arrangements that preserved Finnish democracy. Mannerheim retired in 1946, exhausted by decades of crisis. His memoirs, written in Sweden and Switzerland, became influential Cold War documents. He died in 1951, mourned by the nation he'd saved multiple times. His legacy remains complex: hero to most Finns, war criminal to some, pragmatist to historians. He collaborated with Nazis while protecting Jews, served Russian czars while building Finnish independence, killed fellow Finns while saving Finland itself. Understanding Mannerheim requires understanding impossible choices. Leading a small nation between totalitarian empires meant moral compromises. He allied with evil to prevent greater evil. He sacrificed territories to save the nation. He accepted temporary defeats to ensure ultimate survival. Critics judge from safety what Mannerheim decided facing national extinction. His military genius adapted to circumstances. Against Soviets, he used terrain and winter as allies. With Germans, he maintained operational independence. In politics, he balanced democracy with wartime authority. His aristocratic bearing concealed democratic instincts. He spoke multiple languages, understood multiple cultures, navigated multiple loyalties while serving one cause: Finland's survival. Modern Finland owes existence to Mannerheim's skills. Alone among Hitler's allies, Finland emerged with democracy intact. Alone among Stalin's neighbors, Finland avoided occupation. The Marshal's decisions, controversial then and now, created space for Finnish prosperity. His portrait hangs in Finnish homes not as militarist icon, but as grandfather who saved the family. Mannerheim embodied contradictions: Russian officer who fought Russia, German ally who defied Germany, aristocrat who preserved democracy, warrior who secured peace. His life spanned from cavalry charges to nuclear age, from czarist nobility to democratic leadership. Through it all, he maintained one principle: Finland must survive, free and independent. That it did, against all odds and expectations, remains his monument. Not bad for an expelled cadet, who found his destiny defending the homeland he'd barely known.